Well, first of all, thank you all very much. It has been a marvelous evening, and I must say, I don't think we've ever had this many people on the basketball court before. And it is just wonderful for all of you to be here. I do want to make just a few remarks. Some of them have been preempted by the Chancellor and by the President, and I guess that's okay. So it'll be shorter than it might have been otherwise, which is probably just as well when we look at the time. But first of all, I really would like to thank all of you who came tonight and came out for what I consider to be a real reaffirmation of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock and what it's doing and where it's going. The business organizations who are represented here tonight are clearly the cream of the business community in Central Arkansas. And the supporters that are here are just those people that without your support, what we've been able to do would not have been possible. There have been major change agents. The Chancellor has talked about those, but there is one, I think, who did not get quite as much perhaps as he should have, and that is Dr. Anderson himself. Dr. Anderson was the provost at the university when this college was started, and he was willing to let us in this new college have the flexibility that was required to move it and move it fairly fast. That took a fair amount of courage in an academic setting, and particularly when you remember that he's a political scientist and not one of us. But the flexibility that he agreed to in hiring, salary levels, teaching loads, research time off, those sorts of things have truly made the difference as to why the college has succeeded. All of the other change agents that he talked about are real, and without all of them and the subsequent actions which they took and the things that happened, the college would not be where it is today. And I suspect there is one other that I should say something about that hasn't gotten much mention, and maybe he doesn't want to. I'm not sure about that. But that's Dr. Sugg, who was the president of the university system. And as many of you in this audience know, we were sort of swimming upstream in the system with this college. So I would like to say that those two folks in many ways should be part of that list of change agents that Dr. Anderson had provided to you, and certainly all of the others are there. There is, the faculty has been recognized, and I really want to be sure that they understand that the current character of where we are and the character of the university is truly due mostly to them. They're the ones who see the students every day and are able to make these things happen. So I am extraordinarily pleased for the number of them that are here tonight, and again, our thanks to their contributions which they've made over the last 10 years. Some of them have been with us almost the full 10 years. And then there is a small group that works behind the scenes, but frankly, without whom the college would not have succeeded. And that's some people who have worked in the college staff offices. I'm going to call some of them by name, and I know I'll get myself in trouble by doing that, but there really are some of them that just really have made enormous contributions. First of all, we stole 2 or 3 of them from other places on campus, and that has worked out very well. But the 2 or 3 that I would like to recognize, and they're all in the audience tonight. One is Joe Swati, who was the first Assistant Dean for External Affairs. And it's important to remember that if you have a really good person in that role, when they move on to do something else, then other people think it's a really great place to be, and so we were able to get Kelly Bass, who's been able to put this event on tonight. The next one is Tammy Cash, who is in the audience here and who ran our budget office and our administrative offices for many years. You have, to be honest, in the dean's office, she's the only one who knew anything at all about our budget, but that's, and she managed to keep all of us out of trouble and not in big difficulties with most of the rest of the university. And Katie Young, who is the academic vice dean, is probably the best academic officer in Arkansas. She is the one who intrigues these students, who's the one who coaxes these scholarship students to take them, interviews them, behaves as their mother when they're here, and not only that, but answers to their mothers, which is more difficult than managing the students. And the last is Russell Brune, who has been the Associate Dean for many years. But these are the kind of people that don't get very much credit, but who really make institutions like this work or not. The other people that I'd like to say something about very briefly, we have tonight, and I don't know where they are because I can't see you out there, but we have our National Advisory Committee is here today, and they're going to review our programs tomorrow and provide us some feedback on how well these programs stack up against programs across the nation. They are extraordinarily talented people with marvelous reputations of their own, both in the academic community and in the business community, and we're looking forward to having them tomorrow take a look at all of our programs and give us the feedback that we need to keep these kinds of programs at the state of the art. So we appreciate very much them coming. Almost all of them got here today, even down with the lack of the FAA's computer system this morning. So we were doing very well. And lastly, and I will make a few remarks that I just want to leave you with, but lastly, I'd like to ask my family, who's sitting at this table up here front and center, to all stand, please. I have two sisters who live in Little Rock. I have a brother who lives in Oregon. I have two sons. One lives in Baton Rouge and who is moving to Little Rock next year, and one who lives in Madison, Wisconsin, and he could not be here tonight. And the reason is he's just coming back and hopefully will be in the United States tomorrow because he's just returning from a consulting trip he made to Japan. And I have four grandsons, one of whom is here, the only engineer, by the way, in the batch. But at least we got one. And we have one who's doing anthropology at Boston University, and we have hopes for him, but we'll see. But my family has been one of those great positives in my life. They have always been there for all of us. They've always, we have a very unusual family in many ways. In fact, my husband, whose family was a bit dysfunctional, said something to me one time I said something about that, and he said, what you don't understand is that your family is the one that's odd, not the rest of them. So I truly appreciate them. They are a unique group of people, and both of my sisters, as you know, and my brother are great successes in their own right, and it's just delightful to have as many of them here tonight as can be. So let me just say a few words. Part of what I wanted to say, the president has already said, but I'll let you have a little bit of it anyway. But first of all, the success of the college has been a great exercise in group endeavor. It has been a privilege for me to be a part of the growth and development of an organization as vital as the College of Engineering and Information Technology. I believe the United States and Arkansas are at a crossroads in the global economy of today. With the loss of manufacturing and the livable wages it paid, the middle class in America is at great risk going forward. A service economy by itself will not build or even continue the middle class American dream for the future. The higher level service jobs require significant higher education and training, and the lower half of the services industries pay low wages and provide only subsistence living. The only possible scenario for an environment where our grandchildren can expect a better life than ours involves extensive education at a high level and incentives for new businesses which create new wealth. Without new wealth production, we cannot provide the services that our society needs, and we cannot provide for the less fortunate to create a 21st century civilized world. Financial institutions and services are necessary, but they clearly help manage the wealth that others create. So we cannot depend on financial services to create a future with a place for everyone to prosper. The development of these new businesses, new competitive manufacturing practices, and some sources of wealth production will depend on the students that our college turns out and the faculty who nurture and advise them and who themselves are involved in new wealth-creating ventures. Thus, the success of our region, the state of Arkansas, and the United States depends on entities like EIT, where quality learning is prized and a privileged activity. We must strive to be the best at what we do, and we must instill in our students the desire to be the best at what they choose to do. The future wealth-creating machines will be envisioned and built by the engineers, the scientists, the information technologists, and the construction technologists of the future. They must be fast on their feet, have visions of what can be, and be courageous enough to try new ideas beyond what they now know. To have been a part of building an organization that produces such people is an unusual opportunity, and I am honored to have had such an opportunity. We thank all of you for your past support, and we ask for your continued support. The race we are in is not a sprint. It is a marathon without an end flag. Another American century will not occur without the public devotion to that effort. And thank all of you again for coming. It's been a great evening. We really appreciate all of you and what you do for the university and for the college. And there is one last group that I would like to say something about, and that's the faculty of the other colleges at UALR. They have been very supportive of the growth of this college. We have not had the pushback that you might have expected. That in and of itself is a huge plus. The whole faculty of UALR is responsible for what goes on here, and it's been a great privilege to work with them and with the administration that the university has. So thank all of you for a great evening.